we're riding along the dusty plains today. Don't forget to bring your scarf. This is Power of the Dog. Today, we'd like to welcome on Halley Platz. She is a performer in Brooklyn. Welcome to the show, Halley.
This is the best. I'm so honored to be here. Thank you for friendshipping me. I love this movie. This movie means a lot to me for some weird reason. Best film of 2021 for me.
Wow.
Alongside Licorice Pizza, which, whoops, but, I just like weird stuff. But I'm honored. I've been holding back takes.
Wow.
And closeting them up. Pun intended.
Much like our main
I'm ready to come on out. I'm ready to take out my box of takes.
Yo, here we go.
And my handkerchief with my my favorite person.
I hope some of the stuff that I wrote on here makes you guys go like, oh, because I feel like, I don't know.
I'm so excited.
I had some hot takes, I think.
Absolutely.
But thank you guys for having me on. I love you guys' pod. This is like dream come true. And it's so nice to connect with some film sisses.
Oh, talk
the film
about
bros take over. And
Thank you.
We're here too. And we got better takes and better opinions.
Period.
And we sit through the brutalist too.
Oh,
better vibes. Positivity.
Much better vibes. Yeah.
Love and affirmation.
We are not brutalist boys here.
We are not.
I'm sorry to say. With love and respect, that's not for me.
I feel that big time. I just want the boys to know we put in that 3.5 hours too. Thanks, guys.
We
sure did, and
we did it for y'all. Oh man, it's gonna be painful. That movie was something else. We're so happy to have you here. I can already tell this is gonna be such a vibe. But when I reached out to you initially and gave you the option of what to cover, I did not expect you to pick this, I'll say. I was a little taken aback, A, because it's so new, and B, because it was kind of one, I feel like for the 2021 batch of awards movies, even though it was so highly nominated, it kind of flew under the radar a little bit. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Well, Coda ate its lunch at the last minute, and
that's right, fucking Coda. Yep.
This is why we gel, because like God bless Coda, but also what the fuck, like,
girl,
that was a random ass moment in time when Coda just came in and cucked the shit out of Power of the Dog, because people wanted to feel good about like mean teachers being mean to a kid with a disabled family. And she, but at least she could sing. And they really wanted that, so this kind of flew under the radar, except for Jane Campion winning director, and I think that might have been it, which is
the only win.
Woof.
Yeah,
no pun intended.
Or 12 nominations, 1 win. Insane.
Fuck.
Kind of vile. Yeah. My favorites, to speak on 2021, my favorites that year, I actually had to dig through my letterbox last night because I couldn't remember.
It was a life ago.
Man, we were so young.
We were young.
So young.
We were masking up in theaters.
That was my first couple months back going to movie theaters. Yeah. So my favorite of 2021 was Dune Part 1, obviously.
Wow.
I'm a Spice head through and through. I fucking love Dune. And then recently I saw another 2021 movie that almost overtook it, but it's like neck and neck. Worst Person in the World.
Great movie.
Ooh, that was good.
I fucking love that movie. I just saw that for the first time a few weeks ago, and I was like, is this the number one movie of 2021?
A lot of people did put that on their list, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. I think I saw that one a little late, but that was up there for me. But
I saw it like
Dune,
years later.
Licorice Pizza, Power of the Dog. I think this was, honestly, hot take maybe, last great year we've had in a little bit.
Ooh, interesting. See, Lindsay and I loved 2023. We saw like pretty much every 2023 movie. I thought Anatomy of a Fall and all of that stuff was like a really solid batch. Killers of the
That
Flower Moon, of course.
you know what? You're right. Last year was great. Was that
Yeah.
last year? That was
No,
last year.
honey. No. Well, it was
But
last Oscars.
Like,
Yeah.
oh my God.
I
Yeah,
know.
we were so young.
We were so young.
You're not wrong. And Killers of the Flower Moon, which you guys already covered, was my
Mhm.
number one of last year. That is
Same.
a masterpiece.
Oh,
That is a
wow.
12 out of
Yep.
10 movie, and no one gave, and that didn't get anything, right?
0.
Terrible. A shame.
Just egregious. But I think part of the reason why I love this pick is because it does pair so well with Killers of the Flower Moon. Obviously with the tone, the time period, the cast. You know, we've got Jesse Plemons.
Yeah.
This is
Oh
our
my
second
gosh.
Jesse Plemons movie we've covered already, Lindsay, and we've only done 8 episodes.
Love it. Am I blushing already? We'll get into it, but a big take I have about this movie is everyone is smoking hot in this movie.
Ooh,
This movie makes me blush.
Talk about it. We will get into it.
Yeah, it was my challengers of 2021.
I see. Ooh, challengers, but make it a Western.
Challengers, but make it really,
Super
really
dark.
toxic.
Super dark.
I love cowboys.
Yeah,
I love cowboys.
We're big cowboy people here.
I love that
cowboys.
for you guys. Well, North Carolina represent, and Texas.
Hey.
So
Oh, yeah, Hallie's from Texas originally, Lindsay.
Wow.
I feel
Yeah.
deeply about cowboys myself. It's very
Hell yeah,
which-
brother.
yeah. This and gay cowboys even more.
Yeah.
Woo!
I love cowboys. But like for me,
Yeah.
if that makes
Ooh.
sense.
Oh, you
Oh.
want to be a cowboy. I see.
I thought you meant you wanted all cowboys to yourself, which I respect and appreciate and understand.
No. I don't think I like man cowboys, but I love the vibe of if I were a cowboy that I could
Hell
create.
yeah.
Hell yeah.
No, I completely understand what you're saying now. Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
I think I would be a great cowboy. I feel very akin to that spirit.
Mhm.
So before we get too far into it, did you want to read out the cast, Lindsay?
Yes. So, I guess the two brothers in the film, played by Benedict Cumberbatch and Jesse Plemons, and then Rose, the mother, and Peter, the son, played by Kirsten Dunst and Cody Smith McPhee.
Mm-hmm. And what's the overall plot of this movie, Lindsay? What's it about?
So it's set in 1925 Montana. The Burbank brothers own and work their family ranch. And along a cattle drive, they meet Rose, an innkeeper, and her teenage son, Peter. George and Rose have a complicated romance, while Phil and Peter embark on a tense and disturbing relationship.
And what would you say the overall theme of the movie is? I want you to take this first, Hallie, since this was your suggestion. What do you think the theme is?
I think the coolest thing about this movie is that you think it's one thing and it upends it every single moment if you're watching it for the first time, or even if you're watching it for third or fourth. My number one thing is I kind of called it a gay Frankenstein, which sounds insane, but I have a whole feminist take on Frankenstein as a writer and a comedian. But but I actually mean it. It's just kind of funny if you think about it. But I think of Frankenstein as kind of an elimination of femininity and what the dangers of that are, and kind of the warning of it is. And I think that the powerful thing about, no pun intended, the power of this movie is, but it's what happens if you suppress your feminine side, and it takes it in kind of the queer direction, which apparently Thomas Savage, who wrote the book, it was autobiographical. So it was about him moving out with his mother, and her new husband's brother was a dick. And then he ended up being a closeted case. And Thomas Savage was a queer novelist, and like one of the first American, like one of the first that was openly writing about queer themes and queerness. Very interesting
Whoa.
stuff. I had forgotten about that, but I learned it when the movie came out, and I was like, "That's cool." And this actually did inspire Brokeback Mountain and
I was
the
just
short
gonna
story.
ask.
It did. It sure as hell did. And but of course, Brokeback Mountain is a very very different story. This is far more about kind of the dangers of suppression and repression. And but I think the interesting thing in why I say it's about suppressing femininity as opposed to like just queerness is because it's not just Phil doing the suppressing, it's the suppressing. Um, it's not just him doing it, it's also Rose. She's kind of suppressing her vulnerability and what she needs. It's also George, Jesse Plemons' character. He's suppressing his needs, and the only person who's really not suppressing is Peter. And
Mm.
that's why he keeps getting shit on by Phil. But also Rose for a while wasn't, but she goes back in there and kind of goes back into her own closet when he's coming at her. So it's just kind of a cycle in a way. It becomes a cycle of suppression. We're not going to get into spoilers yet, probably, but does not end well. It doesn't end well. So that's my kind of interpretation of the themes. But
That was so well said.
Yeah, no, wow.
Thank you.
I had a feeling to me it had Brokeback vibes, but I didn't know that direct connection. It's like that's crazy. It's like when yeah. Wow. Wow.
When I was thinking about recommendations, I was gonna say Brokeback, but I was like, is it too on the nose?
No, it
Never.
is the nose.
It is the nose.
So you're blowing my mind, Hallie, in a similar way to when I saw Lawrence of Arabia for the first time and realized that he was a real person, and then that inspired Dune, and then Dune inspired Star Wars.
100%.
I was like, oh my god, I just found the end of the circle. Like, whoa. I was like, Lawrence was a real fucking person.
I found the rainbow. Yeah.
I sat at the end of the rainbow. Yeah, I got really into like Dune lore and then realized that Paul Atreides was a real person. I was like, oh shit. Holy shit.
Oh, amen. Wow. Absolutely. I just find it so perfectly put together as a film. You every little piece, every sense of place, everything that Jane Campion creates in the shots are in service of this theme. And maybe it's just me being neurodivergent as hell, but I love that. I love when all the dots connect. So that scratched my itch real good. And then I love kind of the upending of the American cowboy idea and basically saying like there's an underbelly of feminine suppression from this era and from kind of like what the cowboy began to represent in this era, especially for Phil, and then what the cowboy kind of continues to represent. And we're seeing a lot of kind of this cool upending even now with like artists like Chappell Roan and Shabuzi and Beyonce.
Lil Nas X.
I mean, Lil Nas, exactly. And it's like, it's all sorts of, we're upending it constantly. So it actually is a pretty modern thing to look at. Like, it's not just a 1920s movie that inspired Brokeback. So anyway, that's my whole spiel about this. I'm so passionate about it.
So what do you think? What's your overall impression of the movie, Lindsay? Like, what do you think about it? What's your theme that you identified?
I think there's a lot of betrayal. Like there's like coexisting betrayal like between each like dynamic of people. I don't know, it's crazy. The first time I tried watching it, because this was my first watch, and the first time I fell asleep. I'm not gonna lie. I fell asleep, but I was like, the next day I was like, no, like let me restart it. And it was crazy, like the shift.
It's a slow burn. It's a slow burn.
Very
but
slow.
once you get out of that first like hour or so, you're like, oh damn. And like Hallie said, you have like kind of no idea where it's going. It's very unpredictable, which I love in a story. I was like, literally anything could happen. Did you have anything else to say on that, Lindsay?
Oh, I just said the harsh reality of being a cowboy and also a closeted gay man
good.
embracing a cowboy to like the fullest extent and wanting to become so filthy.
Oh yeah, we will talk about the stinky
mud bath.
Yeah, oh my
Yeah.
god, this man pisses me off. But
He's supposed to. I love it. Well, he's a catty old queen, as Richard Lawson, a critic, said, and he's.
I will say though, I love bathing in the water as he did.
It scares me, but I have done it before, and I will do it again. I think I did it.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure we did it on our beach trip, didn't we?
Oh,
no, we had that like outhouse thing. Never mind.
What? This is all fascinating stuff. See, I could jump into a lake, but lakes scare me because you never know what's in them. But I could see him wanting to bathe outside. The mud bath, though, I was like, homie, that's too far. He never showers.
He's exfoliating.
He is, but he never uses soap ever.
Never once.
Mud is his soap.
I know that man fucking stank.
Oh my god!
No, he stank.
When he goes, could you please take a bath? And he's like, I am not gonna. He's just sitting all angry in his stupid little hay bale.
Oh my
with
god!
A stupid little cigarette, just being
Disgusting.
like, well, I didn't wanna. And it's so
I'm
funny.
Not coming. Oh my god!
I'm not coming, and I'm screaming. What? This movie is so funny, even though it is so dark.
Right. No, it is. I'm glad you felt the same way. Like, definitely the first time I wasn't laughing because I was so stressed out. But this time I was like, oh, he's such a little bitch. This movie is very funny. But
yes.
He's just so
I love
mean.
him.
He's such a bully.
I love him.
You love him.
I think I love him. I really liked his character.
But this bitch hates Mr. Darcy. Make it make sense, Halley.
That's so funny. Wait, why do you love him and what? Wait, I want to know why y'all love him and hate him. But also, you need to get to your thoughts. I'm sorry.
Yes, it's okay. It's okay. We're in the heat of the moment.
I have so many thoughts. I think I have so much empathy for him, and I love, I guess, like his reflection of whatever he's going through. I think he's a great person, considering. I don't know.
Oh, wow.
He stays. I think he's
super sad.
Like being so funny though. I don't know.
Oh, wow. I love this.
So my overall theme, like the thing that stuck out the most to me is I feel like this is definitely a tale about self-hatred and about being in the closet, as you've both touched on. It just really struck me how miserable Phil is in like every scene, and anytime he sees Peter just being a little softy, a little flamboyant, a little even remotely feminine, he has to attack him. He's so, I don't know if he's threatened by Peter or if he's jealous of him. That was one of my questions I wanted to ask y'all.
Can I pose a question?
Yes.
Do you guys think that is how Peter actually was? Because I'm convinced that Peter was like a psychopath, and everything that he did was like a ploy because he could see straight through Phil.
I wondered that as well. I would love to hear Halley's thoughts, but from my perspective, I thought once he saw the like nudie magazines and realized that Phil was gay, I thought, oh, this is all an act. Like Peter is just pretending to be a little fruit so that he can like lure. Yeah, I was reading it as like he's just luring Phil.
Oh my god.
Into his trap.
Like the cowboy walk between the tents.
Oh, you thought he was faking that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, heck yeah.
This is such hot takes. I love it. This is why I love this movie, because I've heard, I know so many people have so many different ideas of it if they're looking for them, you know? And so funny. So I definitely think Peter's gay. Like, it's kind of two different things to me, where he's obviously a genius because he's going to be a doctor. He knows how to make those flowers. He can he can figure out the entire ploy that he does, which we won't get into yet, but he figures all that out. But I I do think Phil had it coming. Like he was coming
Oh,
after his
100%.
mama. He's like a mama's
100%.
boy, if anything.
Yeah.
And he targeted the shit out of him. But I don't think he was faking stuff. But I
Oh.
do think once he found those porno mags in the woods, which first off, hilarious.
Yeah,
Just
that's
Bronco
classic.
Henry just had a big ass box of porn that he gave Phil, which is insane. We can get into that too, because Bronco Henry's insane. But that character is nuts. But once he found that big box, I figured he used it as blackmail. Like to basically be like, yeah, I got you. If you like try something, I got you. And Phil saw that side of it, but he didn't see the rest of it coming. And Phil fully caught feelings. Do we all agree on that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I think that Peter definitely was like, "Oh, I got you now, you son of a bitch." But for some reason, I guess I just can't. I mean, this is also my failing. I can't tell when people are genuinely attracted sometimes, or when it's like an act. and that's me personally as well. that's in my everyday life as well. I'm like, are you just saying shit, or do you actually like me? Who's to say?
No, it's so fair.
I felt like I couldn't tell if Peter actually was sexually attracted to him, if he was just doing it so he could like get close to him, if there was a part of him that was like, oh well, maybe I want to be the new, Phil, and Phil becomes, my Henry. Like I couldn't. His intentions were so unclear to me. He's such an ambiguous character, like you said, Lindsay.
I kind of got like a gender fluid psychopath type of vibe.
Slay.
Period.
Period.
Goals.
Slay. In full favor. Love it. We need
Goals.
more in my movies. I think you're right. I think you're right though that it's like supposed to be ambiguous because like, well, first off, he is the author. So I think the author was kind of making it's a pretty vulnerable thing to write that he's like killing rabbits to dissect them, like, and shit like that. And the
tough.
fact that he let Kirsten Dunst bond with the rabbit first is that's where I'm like, that's sociopathic,
diabolical.
like diabolical. I also like had the thought this watch, and maybe I'm wrong. Like I'm so unsure, but like, maybe he's neurodivergent. Like, we don't really know that side of it. And it's not really about that either. So it's like, I kind of put that to bed after I thought it. But there might be something there because he's, again, like, I don't mean to touch on like a movie trope, but like, or a literary trope. Hell, it's been a trope and everything. But like the very smart, hyper smart neurodivergent kid. But
for sure,
there's something about this kid where he cares about certain things, it doesn't give a shit about other things. Like when Phil burns the flowers, he cries and he goes and does his hula hoop coping mechanism. Respect. Again, love this movie.
The sad hula hooping.
The sad hula hooping.
I agree with you on the neurodivergence, though, for sure. Like the hula hooping, like him staying outside and like regulating himself.
100%.
I totally see it.
Loving flowers, loving dissection.
A very special interest. Yep.
Special interest is so funny.
But I don't know if I can stray from thinking that he's not a psychopath, because I think all of it could exist.
No, yeah, it's not a black or white thing. No way. Yeah, he's surely like maybe a baby serial killer. Like,
well, we don't know if he's ever going to do it again. Are we getting too far? Am I getting too far?
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Okay. So we can talk about that element because you're probably right, and there's a reason why. And anyway, I
wonder if we have the same thought. Okay. Okay.
Mr. Burns' hands. Excellent.
So what were some more highlights for me? I just wrote down right away. Phil's a fucking dick, dude. Like,
amen.
He's such a dick. Like, he's just so unlikable instantly. just the first moment he's on screen, I'm like, fuck you. Like, what is he? His like first words to Jesse Plemons are like, oh, you ugly fat fuck. Like, this, that, and the third. I'm like,
It's the
bro.
1920s version of you ugly fat fuck for sure.
I'm like, it's the first 2 minutes of the movie. Like, what is your... He came in so hot. He's such a bully. He bullies his brother, Rose, and Peter all within the first 10 fucking minutes of this movie.
100%.
Less than an hour into this movie, he beats a horse.
Hate that.
Hate it.
Gorgeous
Hate it.
shot. Hate
it.
That's when he lost me.
Fucking
I was
hate
like,
it.
you don't beat up a horse.
And that's twice in this movie that he's cruel to an animal, because he also crushes a bunny with a wood pile.
He did do that. I forgot he did that.
Like, bro, oh my god, he pisses... Oh my god, he's... This man is such an asshole. I can't with him.
I just had a really good thought. That I think it's... His character almost seems really poetic to me. He commits to his misery.
Ooh.
Oh,
that's a good way to put it.
That's exactly the thing.
He like leans into it.
He lost his person.
Yeah.
And he's got that shrine with the little candle. I noticed there was a candle today and I was like, oh, it's a shrine. It's a full ass shrine. It's not even a saddle. Oh, it's like, so he's got the saddle. He's got the little thing that says Bronco Henry friend. Yeah. By the way, Bronco Henry was 50 years old. I know, I did the math and I was like, oh shit. So this guy was like kind of popping. Like this guy was like not an old man. He was a young buck. Mm-hmm. He was a mid-aged buck. And then had a lit candle on top of it, which I can only imagine he just like lights all the time with his stupid cigarette lighting. Not the shrine, homie. But no, you're absolutely right. It's just, and he's mudding himself up. Like, we'll get into it, but I think this may be just a tentpole of sad gay cinema. Because like, in sad gay, I'm realizing a tentpole of sad gay cinema is like, a lot of authors just go, you're in the morning and you're not getting out. Now, granted, that's also cinema. Tons of this, these examples are endless in a way, but yeah, you're absolutely right.
I feel like it's especially prominent though within queer stories, which I'm quite frankly getting a little tired of. Like,
oh yeah,
I commented something on some like movie page the other day, and I'm just like, why every time a gay person in a movie, we got to be fucking dying or, you know,
amen,
or like in a miserable relationship the entire time, or miserable and single the entire time? It's so... Can we just be happy? Like, can we just one time?
Absolutely.
One time?
Well, I think what's weirdly funny about this one is the dead gay sad stuff is he's a piece of shit.
I know.
So it's like kind of fresh.
It's even more complicated than normal. Yeah.
Very complicated, but you're not like, it doesn't make you sad. You're not like, oh, this is sad. It's just about a sad gay. It's not sad and gay.
The distinction. Yes.
The distinction is important.
So what about you, Lindsay? What other highlights did you have up front?
Well, I guess I will start off by saying I think George and their family are all secret homophobes.
Oh,
and
this is fascinating.
Like, I don't know, the way that Phil behaves, like, doesn't come from nowhere.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, someone, and in that little town, like, who else could it have been? But someone was, like, I don't know, silencing him, I think, like, as a child. And also, George was really weird to him.
George was weird. You know when I noticed it, Lindsay, this time? Right away. That first time that Phil says something about Bronco Henry.
Yes.
And I didn't notice this, but Jane, like, tilts the camera towards, like, George's reaction to Phil bringing up Bronco Henry again. And he's like, oh, God, here we fucking go again. This guy. And he makes this face of, like, I don't want to talk to you about this fucking man you're obsessed with anymore. And then he's like, oh, well, what, you got a bellyache or whatever he said? You know, he's like, you don't want to talk all of a sudden? it like instantly, that first scene, I was like, oh yeah, George, I think George knows. George knows that Phil is a raging homo, and it's just like, don't talk to me about it.
That's actually a hugely contested point of this movie is, does
Really?
George know? Well, no,
Oh, I think he fully knows.
I think he fully knows too. And I wonder if he experienced, because are we all in agreement, and this is going to sound like so insane, but are we all in agreement that Bronco Henry, grooming?
Oh, for sure.
Okay, so like, not okay.
He was like a grown man, and Phil was what, like 15 or something?
There was
same age as Peter.
Ooh, I want to bring up something really specific, if that's okay.
Yeah.
There was the one scene, and like, Phil would try so much to, I don't know, like actually want to have a conversation with George, but he would always dismiss him. And there was the one scene where Phil was trying to like casually bring up how their parents brought like the girls over and forced them to have sex with him.
Oh my God, yes.
I don't remember this at all. What?
Oh, he's walking down the stairs, and he says, remember when we first could get hard-ons and the old lady brought us the prostitutes?
Oh my God, that's right. Oh my God.
Which was quite common back in that day, actually, but it's still fucking crazy.
That's literally...
The mom is not, that's not common. For the mother to bring the prostitutes, it's actually more of a thing that used to happen. I learned this when I was in London taking a Jack the Ripper tour. It's random. But apparently men used to take their sons. They actually do this in poor things. Men used to take their sons to whorehouses to learn how to have sex. And it's like a fascinating thing that England is a little more comfortable talking about it because they're probably older than us, but it fully was a thing in America. But it was men. It was like father-son shit. The mother doing it, fucking crazy.
Yeah, she's sketch. She's
sketch as fuck.
She's
like
always playing a really sketchy ass toxic mom. You know who that is, right, Lindsay?
Yeah,
the mom from 6 Feet Under.
Oh, that's who she is. Okay, yes.
Yeah.
I knew she was famous.
I know her from American Horror Story a lot.
Oh, I don't watch American Horror Story.
I didn't know she was in that. I gotta look that up.
Is she playing a shitty mom on that too?
No, I actually really like her character in American Horror Story.
Interesting. Yeah, she usually plays like a really fucked up mom.
Wow.
At least that's what she's most known for. So as soon as I heard her voice in that dinner scene, I was like, oh shit, it's the woman from 6 Feet Under. Like,
when she immediately shits on George's drink, she goes, oh no, I don't need that. I was like, oh my God, I miss that.
Yeah, the family, you're definitely right to point it out, Lindsay. The family dynamic, I love that it's very unspoken, but it's definitely a tension, like a lot of deep trauma there that they're all just not talking about. The relationship between Phil and George, and also, like you said, the boys and their parents. There's some weird shit going on there for sure.
It seemed so much like Phil just wanted to like hang out with his brother, but like George would never give him that. I think George was such a cruel brother, although
really
Phil, he was kind
he was kind of repelled by him. I agree with you. He was like always grimacing, but on the surface level, like, yeah, of course he is, because Phil fucking stank.
Well, Phil's a dick to him.
And he's an asshole.
Yeah. But it's it's interesting because, like, I've thought about this too, because I think you're so right that he's like trying to bond with him constantly, and it's like George is just like, I can't do this. And, like, just a shell of himself. I maybe it's just me making a backstory, but like, I wonder if Bronco Henry, messed with them both, and like he just is like, Phil, stop fucking talking about this shit. Like, this is like the worst time of my life or something like that. If that were a case, now that's like one side of the spectrum of what could have happened, and we never know. But I have to imagine that, like, George, if George knows about that he's a flaming homo, which 100. Like, do y'all remember that shot of him wiping the saddle or doing something with a cowboy?
Ooh.
And it looks like
Yep.
they're like, it looks like they're just fucking.
Yep.
And George is like, really?
Mhm.
Which kind of funny, but
George is so disgusted by him.
but
It's
he's just
yeah.
like, he doesn't know what to do, maybe. And
Mhm.
like, I mean, now he's got a gay stepson, so like, you're gonna have to figure some shit out. But like, it's, but you know who rocks though? Kirsten Dunst is the best mom ever.
Oh,
Like,
she's fantastic.
she lets that son do everything he wants to do, and she tells him it's great and that he's great. And it's like, what a good mom.
But she's also, yeah, even when, here's why I also have, like, think she's such a good mom, because even when she's, like, drunk out of her mind and, like, wallowing in her depression and her pain, she's still protecting Peter. She's still,
100%.
like, something in the back of her mind as a mother is like, do not let this man alone with my child. Like, twice she's like, why the fuck is he going out on trips with Phil? Like, why is my son ever in a room alone with this man? Like, for some reason her instinct was so strong and so fucking right to be like, I don't want this man around my son. Like, what is happening here? She clocks him immediately, and that's why Phil fucking hates her. I think that's part of the reason he hates her, because she sees through him. She off rip, that first scene at the inn, she's like, snatches the roses that he's burning off the table, and she's like, the fuck?
I
like,
love that.
yeah, she's
I noticed
like,
that the first time I saw it.
That's my son's. Yeah, like, what are you doing? He made these. Like, it's like a little thing, but it's her. She's always got Peter's back.
100%. And she tells him, could you please could you get the chicken for me? Like, she lets him be a sociopath too. She lets him wring the chicken's neck.
Yeah, she's like, could you go kill this thing for me?
Could you just handle that? I can't do that. Like, it's so wild, but it's so, I don't know if that's true to who, the author's mom was, but I love that element because it actually is super refreshing to see like a really accepting mom of a gay son, presumably gay son, just letting him do his thing. If he's neurodivergent, she's letting him have his hyperfixations. She's like, listen, she goes, I died when she goes, I just won't have you kill them in the house. I won't allow it,
Peter.
Not in the house, Peter. I won't allow it. And I'm like, yeah, if you put your foot down there, like, that's
all I ask.
That's not hard to do. It's not hard to not kill a rabbit in a house. Like,
if I must, okay, mom.
And then he's like being a little he's being a little smarmy a little bit, but he like isn't gonna do it. And like, what you said about Phil hating her for that reason, I think you're absolutely right. I also think he's jealous of her accepting him. Like, his mom is
kind
of what you were
accepting
saying,
Peter.
Lindsay, yeah, what Lindsay you were saying about the family being so homophobic, because they definitely are, because everybody was, but like,
Yeah.
I think they are, and I wonder if George is too. I'm gonna watch it again and like think about that, because he kind of sucks too. But I have a huge crush on Jesse Plemons, so like when he's a little chunkier too, he is just so adorable. Cowboy Jesse Plemons, 10 out of 10 hotness. And Cody Smith McPhee, super alien hotness. He's like Zendaya, where he's just like, you're not from this planet, and I'm here for it. And then obviously Kiki is Mary Jane, and we love her.
Oh, beautiful.
Spider-Man in the house, but
I love her.
But oh my god, I spiraled into the hotness of everybody. Phil
okay.
is fine when he's
Phil's fine.
Phil's fine when he's clean. Benedict Cumberbatch, I mean, he's pretty hot, but he when he gets cleaned up, he's hot as hell. When at the end, we'll get
exactly. There. Yeah.
I think I liked him a little dirty with the tousled hair. Unfortunately,
the tousled hair was cute.
Oh man,
that was great. He's so like lanky.
He scares me. Yeah, he scares me. I'm sorry.
First shot. Speaking of cowboys, the first shot of Jane Campion just being like, I am a female director and I'm going to show you how sexy I think cowboys are. And it's like that wide shot of the cowboys in their big ass chaps.
Oh my gosh, the chaps.
Walking up. And it's so fucking, and then there's like
so
a little bitty
shots.
glimpse of the prostitutes right by the bar. who are like fully waiting for them to just get their like unpacked and then undressed and all that. That's hot as hell. And like, thank you, Jane. I agree. Like, she
shot the shit out of this movie.
She shot the shit out of it, and she wanted to make you know it's about it is about fucking.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of
even
bulls,
if we're not showing it.
There's a lot of cows, there's a lot of horses. She goes, there was one time where she cuts to a montage of some horses, and it does, I think it's in between when Phil and Peter make the rope, and then the next day when he gets sick. I'm not sure.
Yes, that like beautiful chestnut brown horse.
Oh my God, yes. And like, and
it's like gleaming in the sun. Yes.
And I remember thinking to myself, like, I don't know why she did that. Why'd she do that? And then she literally had an interview where she goes, I just think horses are sexy, so I wanted to cut to a bunch of horses.
Because it's gorgeous. What do you want from me?
Because it's gorgeous and because they want to fuck. And I was like, yes, Jane, let's go.
Oh my God, what a legend.
Or Phil wants to fuck him, I should say. I don't think Peter wants to fuck Phil.
I don't think so either.
No.
But we're coming to that. So, you already touched on a little bit this is in your sad gay cinema pantheon.
Oh yes.
And you had posed the question to me when we were DMing back and forth about like our top sad gay movies. So
oh yes.
Lindsay, I want you to think on some of your favorite sad gay movies, and I'm gonna go first. Hey, it's in the doc.
I love it.
I already know.
Perfect. Okay, so mine, as soon as Halley, you had originally asked me, like, what's your peak, like, sad gay cinema? I was like, oh, Portrait of a Lady on Fire.
Love it.
Yeah. Yeah. If I ever want to, like, cry about a girl, it's...
It's a good one to cry to about a girl.
It's Portrait of a Lady on Fire, I fear. That movie just fucking destroys me every time. Because, again, spoilers, they can't end up together, and that shit it hurts me. The yearning, oh my God.
Period pieces are a real good telltale that this ain't gonna turn out well.
Yeah, someone's dying of cholera, bitch, or getting shipped off to war, like, you already know. Or being forced to marry a man even though they're gay, because society. Hate that for them. But yeah, mine is a Portrait of a Lady on Fire from 2019.
Love
which
it.
I own. I own the Criterion 4K of, so the movie is very important to me.
Oh my God, obsessed.
I love it. What about you, Lindsay?
Moonlight.
Of course.
Yeah,
I haven't seen it yet.
I know.
Classic sad gay.
I gotta be in the mood for that, but I'm definitely gonna see it soon.
I would love to do it.
Maybe we should watch it for the show.
Yeah, I think we should. I've actually been thinking that for a while now.
I want to hear your takes. I love it.
That movie is so beautiful.
Okay.
I think that is one of the most beautiful movies I've maybe seen.
I know a lot of people say that. I'm sure I'll agree when I finally get around to it. It's just I've been putting it off for some reason, but I will definitely be watching that.
It's an intense ride. But it is beautiful, and it actually does have a happy ending? Question mark?
Okay.
Pretty happy ending?
Question mark?
I think it's kind of happy ending.
I'll take it.
Just refreshing as hell.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Y'all are gonna kill me. So The Whale, a terrible movie.
That's all Lindsay, babe. I've never seen it.
Oh my God.
But you know I can't stand Darren Aronofsky. I can't stand him.
I'm laughing at myself. I'm not laughing at this movie. It's just insane. That movie is a Mad Libs of sad gayness.
Darren, I'm so tired of you. Who keeps giving you money?
We have a lot of sad dad trauma on this show, and The Whale was not good.
Yeah, we do. Pretty much every episode we end up talking about our dads or sad dads, which, I mean, one and the same.
Listen, don't watch that movie then, because Lord.
Lord.
You don't like George, right, Lindsay? I don't like Ellie from The Whale.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then I had Streetcar Named Desire. Classic sad gay cinema. Had to pay homage to the
Ooh.
old
Ooh.
timey
That's a
I like
great
that
pull.
title.
Streetcar Named Desire. Great stuff.
Yeah.
That's
Streetcar Named
a great pull.
Desire.
Oh my god, I saw that for the first time in like high school, maybe middle school. That like changed my life. Oh my god.
Oh
Marlon Brando, bisexual icon.
Bisexual icon. I'm telling you, exactly. Bisexual icon coming in hot.
Girl, you know, we're on such a tangent, but you know the lore about Brando and James Dean and
yes, 100%. And then he fell hard for Rita Moreno and Paul Newman.
Yeah. Woo! They had like a little polycule thing going on in the 60s, baby.
Of course they did.
Or in the 50s, sorry. Yeah, I don't think James Dean made it to the 60s, but yeah, they...
Oh, yeah. But they were bisexual icons. Bisexual male icons. They be fucking left and right.
They be fucking.
I want a movie about that. Can someone
please
just make a Challengers, but make it about Marlon and James
and Eartha Kitt
and Rita Moreno and who's Paul Newman Just
wow,
hit up all those,
all those
guys, all five of those.
Give me it right now. Are you listening, Hollywood?
Are you listening?
Give the people what they want.
Sorry for the tangent.
Okay.
I was like,
we had to talk about it. I mean, it's related to sad gay cinema in a way.
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure.
So when's the first time you saw this movie, Hallie?
Me. I was at IFC in New York City, by West 4th Street, because that's where Netflix started releasing their movies to get the Oscar campaigns going.
Mm-hmm.
And it was that short ago. It was 2021.
I see.
Because they used to not do anything, and they were like going back and forth about it, but then they bought out the Paris Theater in New York, and then they didn't buy out IFC, but they do IFC a whole bunch.
They screen their movies there. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And to see it on a big screen was so incredible. I had heard so much about how Phil was a dick, but I didn't know why. Like, no one really was saying why. I had a hunch it was gay, but that was just because of Brokeback.
Right.
I had no idea. Once the chapters started going, which I love movies that are split into chapters for some reason. Scratches my itch.
Me too.
So
it
hard.
Like orientates me. Like...
Yes. Especially if they're long as hell. And just realizing everything was like, there was something going on under the surface that was more intense than what we knew. Even like because I don't know, the first time I watched this Under the Surface, I was kind of like, oh, he's not that mean. Like, I had just heard insane stuff about how mean he was. Like, that he's just the fucking worst guy you've ever seen. And at the dinner table scene, I was like, he's a bitch, but he's not he's kind of lame. Like, he's just, he's Catty, waxing like poetic about his shit. And then I realized, like, one, the psychological war games going on here are, like, really intense.
Oh,
like,
he's torturing Rose. Yeah.
Oh my God. Like, and
torturing
Peter too, like they're getting that there's something really sinister in that and really powerful, and like movies can do this and can be menacing in a way where nothing is happening, but then it all adds up and people don't take shit forever. And I loved that element and was kind of blown away. And then I realized it's all at the very beginning with the quote he has where he says, I wanted nothing but my mother's happiness. So what kind of a man would I be if I did not protect my mother? Period. And it's like, that's the whole fucking movie. Like,
I would do the same.
100% would do the same. Like,
don't fuck with my mom. I'll kill you.
Don't fuck with my mom. Don't fuck with like women in my family, femmes in my family.
Never.
Like, Killers of the Flower Moon is so intense to me because of that. Like, it's the family of women getting targeted is like so emotional.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like,
it's painful.
It's so painful. And they didn't know, or they knew, but that's some other shit to get into. I won't get into that, but like
Mm-hmm.
that, it's like you know, but you don't, but you also maybe don't want to know, and it's a whole cacophony of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
like that's, but then kind of going back to what I said about like the femininity aspect and protecting that, it's kind of that too. It's like I had to protect my mom. I had to protect like the side of myself that is like a woman
Ooh.
that is femme, and
Ooh.
it blew my mind. I saw it 3 more times in the movie theater, and I
Whoa.
watched it a shit ton on Netflix itself, and I showed all my friends, and I looked up all the Bronco Henry memes because there were
Ah.
many, and
Wow.
that shit made me laugh so hard. But I was riveted, and it's now one of my favorites.
Amazing. So I know, Lindsay, you said it's your first watch, but this is only my second watch.
Oh my gosh.
I know I had seen it once. When I was living with one of our best friends, Kate, we were trying to catch up on all the Oscar movies. This is for the, I guess, 2022 Oscars,
Mm-hmm.
because this is a 2021 movie. So like early 2022, I was trying to catch up on a bunch of nominated movies, and this was one of them that I had missed. And Kate had actually already seen it, so I watched it alone. And I remember liking it, and I don't know if it's maybe because I had no one to talk to about it, or if it was just like I felt like I was watching it kind of just out of obligation, like, oh well, it's nominated, I'll check it out. I don't know, but it kind of just slipped away from me for a long time. I haven't seen it since. I haven't thought a lot about it since. I've never revisited it, but I went back and looked on my Letterboxd, and I rated it 4 stars. So I must have really liked it. I have no concept of why I've never revisited it though. So I was glad to get an opportunity to, because Kirsten Dunst and Jesse Plemons are 2 of my favorite actors, like,
Oh,
period.
love.
Yeah, so I was really happy to revisit this one. I feel like I got so much more out of it this time.
It's a real like there's so much more to it than it feels at the because on first watch I was like, okay. And then I was like, wait a minute, I need to see this again. And then I just lost, for some reason, I don't know, something just exploded in my brain, and I was like, oh my god, I love Jesse
There's
Plemons.
a lot going on.
There's a
That's
lot
how I
going
felt.
on. Yeah.
That's how I felt when I like restarted it, and I was like, wait a second. There's a lot going on here.
Yeah, it's it's hard to get into maybe at first, but once you kind of see the dynamics of what's happening between Phil and his brother and his wife and her son, it's kind of like it's a juicy like family drama.
Honestly,
yeah.
maybe I'll recommend watch like 30 minutes into it, then restart it, and then watch it through.
Ooh, okay.
Because like you get a taste of it, and then you restart the movie, and then you hear him say like, everything I do is for my mom. And then it like really sets, I don't know, I guess a tone that could be missed if you're watching it for the first time.
I think that's exactly what happened for me the first time. Yeah, I was just kind of like, okay, like I thought it was a cool story. I had no idea where it was going the whole time. I love that. And I thought the acting was great, and then I kind of just never thought about it again. And I feel like that is kind of an unfortunate side effect of the Netflix experience for me. So maybe that's why you had such a better experience with it, Halley, because you saw it so many times in the movie theater first. And Lindsay and I had a similar experience with Killers of the Flower Moon, seeing it twice in movie theaters with a full audience, like a month before it came out on Apple TV Plus. We had already seen it in theaters, and I think it really does change your experience and change your retention of movies when you're sitting in a movie theater instead of just like in your bedroom or like on your phone or in your living room. It's just different.
It's kind of an interesting thing where the very first thing you hear is this like ominous guitar. And when you're in a theater, I just remember that was like really overwhelming, and so was the sound of nature, like the sound of these cows and these cowboys shouting and whipping and stuff. it was very, I mean, it sounds violent, like in a theater. And then I don't know, like it's that kind of stuff you do kind of, I think, lose a little bit, but it's still fantastic. Like, I've rewatched it. I just rewatched it on my phone, which is terribly, not great. I'm sorry.
Halley.
I'm sorry, Jane. I suck.
Take
but
that back.
I love it. But no, I don't like watching on my phone. But it's funny because it is kind of ASMR-y if you really like nature.
No, for sure. Yeah, oh yeah,
But
absolutely.
it's also extremely violent and loud, like in those opening moments where there's like clanging of utensils, there's the piano and those people shouting because they want Rose to play. They want, there's Phil screaming like a bitch. And then there's like the people when they're about to fuck all the prostitutes in the whorehouse bar situation, saloon. It's literally called the saloon. I was like, what is
the whorehouse bar situation?
The whorehouse bar
yes.
situation is also called, in fact,
a saloon.
A saloon. I'm screaming.
Fucking hell.
I'm dead. But they're like it's very almost like daunting, and oh my god.
It's a much more visceral experience in theaters.
Love
the banjo? Oh
what about that banjo shit?
Yo, that motherfucker.
He was a good banjo player.
He learned Benedict Cumberbatch learned how to play the banjo for real. He also learned how to castrate bulls for real too. That was
sure
real.
As fuck did.
Yes,
that
he did.
Was real?
Yeah, he's a method actor, babe.
Wow.
He stayed in character the whole time too.
That's awesome.
He stayed in character. He learned how to play the banjo, how to castrate, how to ride horses, and something else for this movie. And I was like, God damn.
That was another thing for me. Why are you having Rose play piano when he could play you guys a beautiful banjo song? Like, are you kidding me?
Oh, because he just wanted to fuck with her. Like,
and he's a dick. He's a piece of shit. He wouldn't do it.
100% could have helped her out and like done a duet with her or helped her out on the piano. He could have done literally anything. Instead, he just sits there and he's like, yeah, you dumb bitch. You practiced for 2 months and you can't do this, right? I was like, Phil.
He learned it by ear in real time. And
by ear. Oh, he was eating her up. He's eating her up. This actually, you're leading perfectly into my biggest takeaway that I wanted to get into. The way that Phil is a very, very rich boy pretending to be like a country bumpkin, dirty ranch hand. He's like, I don't know if you noticed, and I thought the first time I saw it, it was just Cumberbatch doing a bad accent, but no.
No.
He does this weird like affect when he's around certain people, and he's, well, I sure don't know. I'm like, you went to fucking Yale.
He's JD Vance. He's JD Vancing the shit out of this.
Literally.
Fucking couches. I'm kidding. But that's fucked up. I'm sorry.
He would. He fucks a scarf, so
he did fuck a scarf. He's fucking a scarf. The scarf
it just
is
stuck
his couch.
out.
I'm excited to talk about that scene.
It stuck out to me so much. I was like, yo, why is this rich ass white boy sitting here? It just reminds me
100%
of like these, like the modern day equivalent is like the trust fund babies who are walking around in like their Carhartts and they're like Canada Gooses and they're in their Timberland boots and whatever, and they have never held a hammer in their life. But yet you have all this like expensive ass like outdoor like workman gear that you put on, and this like, it's like a costume to them. And I felt like Phil was like the 1920s version of that. You're rich, dude. You don't have to work in the ranch at all.
You don't have to do any of it.
You don't have to do any of this. You went to fucking Yale. You have all the money you need to do whatever. You don't work on the ranch. You own it.
Yeah. And he castrates with no gloves, like a moron.
With no gloves. I'm a real man. You know what? It's all such like a, like you said earlier, Halley, it's like him trying to prove that he's like a man,
100%.
It's so embedded in him. He's like, I'm real rugged and tough, and I'm just a poor old ranch hand. I'm like, no, you're not.
No,
you're not.
No, you're not. And
you're like a rich cunty gay. Like
you're a rich cunty gay. Is
you went like tagline. Come on.
Tagline.
And he is a musician who's so good he can play by fucking ear.
Yeah.
And he speaks multiple languages, probably because he studied classics. So
Yes.
he probably knows Latin, Greek, etc. And he's sitting here being like, oh, well, I'm just a humble worker. I'm like, what are you doing, Phil? It's like a performance within a performance. It's like you're
100%.
closeted and you're performing your straightness. And then you're performing your straightness, but also like trying to perform your like ruggedness. Like, and remember in the dinner scene, I think it's his mother or somebody is like, oh yeah, it's like respectable that you're like dirty and stinky. It means you work hard. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, the governor that's just
Oh, the
coming
governor,
over.
yes.
No, but it's wild that the governor is just coming over. Like,
right, you're friends with the fucking governor.
It's noble dirt. Isn't that what he says?
It's noble dirt. Yes, exactly. Like, oh my God, Phil, if you don't sit your ass down somewhere. See, that's how you get fucked up. That's why what happened to him happened, because if you would have just sat your ass inside and counted your money, you would have been chilling.
He caught so many feelings, and also, yeah, he cut his hand on the last on the castration we actually see, because he was a fucking moron, and like I just don't understand.
I wasn't sure if it. I guess maybe I overlooked the castration, but I thought it was like when the rabbit like nicked him,
when he crushed the rabbit with the woodpile. Yeah,
maybe you're
blood.
right.
Yeah, because remember, Halley, that beautiful shot of his blood dripping on the grass.
Oh shit! Yeah, you're right.
He cut his hand multiple times.
Couple of times. Okay,
yes.
So when that anthrax got in there, it got in real good.
It got real in there. It got in there. Yeah.
Because he didn't use gloves ever, because technically you don't need it if they're not diseased, but at the same time you should always wear gloves.
Right, because how do you fucking know that? Like, hello?
But even the cowboys are like, homie, you're going too far. That's too far. We're not gonna do that, because I love the cowboy goes, why don't you use gloves, Phil?
Yeah, it's like, you don't have anything to prove. I mean, he does. That's the thing. He does have something to prove.
Exactly. He does.
Very much so.
I do love how much he talks about Bronco Henry. He's just always
like, we need to.
Jumped
he was the best man in the world. He jumped a horse over horse. He saved my life from drowning. He, lassoed the sun for me.
He lassoed the sun.
The strongest man. He literally talks about him. I don't know if this was intentional because of the time period, but he talks about Bronco Henry like he's Paul Bunyan.
100%.
I think it is supposed
to be like that. It's so funny. It's so like, it's so
American
gay.
Tall Tale.
well, he's just like, this guy was the fucking best.
And no one could ever look at the horizon the way that Bronco Henry did, and no one could ever ride a horse like Bronco Henry. Like, no matter what
George,
the fuck.
Remember who made us. George is like, God damn it, homie.
Dude.
He's like, stop. I don't want to hear about this man again. Please. Yeah. Delusional.
Delusion.
I think if Bronco Henry was actually a groomer, it would make sense why Phil always feels the need to talk about him.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, 100%.
Alleviate. Yeah.
It's
pretty, and I think it's pretty devastating.
Yeah, in like a fucked up way, it's his first love.
100%.
It's very fucked up.
I like the complicatedness of it, though. It's like, it can be it can be insanely stupid and weird, and it can also be insanely sad and like, and
he's
the fact that
in mourning.
He's in mourning for his first love, who was a piece of shit and groomed and bullied him.
Yeah,
and then he's
potentially
gonna do
his
the
brother
same
too.
Thing. And then he's gonna do the same thing to this kid that he sees himself in.
Yes,
and they look alike too, which you see when he at the end. They look exactly alike.
They're identical.
That took my breath away, actually. That was when I was like, this is a masterpiece. They they're both twinks. They're tall twinkies. They're tall Twinkie guys. And
with the dark hair, the bright eyes.
Bright eyes.
Same nose.
Palish skin. If you If you look at it like that, when he's taking off the mud, he's pretty pale. And like weird voices.
You can see him like repeating, like you said, Hallie, everything in this movie is so cyclical. You can see Phil repeating that cycle of like grooming and abuse with Peter. He's like, all right, now it's my turn. I'm now Bronco Henry and I'm your Phil. And like, he's like replaying it out in like with a new person, basically. It's so sad.
It's so sad when it gets really sad to me is when he says we're going to go, when don't they have a plan to go to the mountains together? Like,
yes,
for him to teach him more, which really means he wants to fuck him. And it's like, obviously Peter was never going to let it go that far. But like, that was his real Bronco Henry moment, in my opinion. It's like when he was like, okay, now we're going to go off together. Because they talk
like run away together.
That.
Yeah. I'm like, what?
Yeah. And they did that. Like, and he talks to it's so interesting. You guys brought up like his brother, because he goes, remember when we cooked elk liver over the coals in the mountains? And I'm like, holy
like
shit.
Bronco Henry.
Like, but they went out together. Like they literally would go out together, and that's when it stops. Is like, Peter's like, okay, now the party's over. We're done. That's
Tricked,
it.
Yeah.
and it's genius that he's a doctor too, because he knows it's gonna fuck him up in such a time.
Yeah.
You know,
he's like, it's lights out for you. You're cooked, my boy.
And boy, is it the cut to. We jumping too far ahead. I'm sorry. The cut to the coffin.
No, we're deep enough in it now. We can spoil.
Oh my god, the cut from "I'm gonna take you to the doctor," Phil, in the car, which they would not have done. No, that's not true. Well, it was emergency, so it's like, you got to go now, and he makes him get dressed. Hilarious. He's in a coffin.
Boom.
That was crazy.
Yeah, it was so jarring. So jarring.
Jarring and a little funny, because you're just like, he died.
Oh,
He's dead.
You're like, oh, well.
Guess we know how this ends.
Yeah.
It's so abrupt.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Did you want to bring up anything else, Lindsay?
Yeah. George making Rose play the piano?
Yeah.
How are you interpreting that?
For me, it was, I don't know, more so like the image that George really seemed to want to keep up. And he was like, oh, now I have my wife that can entertain my guests. And without even like actually seeing if she is a good player, she's like, oh, play. Like, I think it goes back to my theme of betrayal. Because why would he do that to his wife? I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, you mean the pressure he puts on her to like perform?
Like, after her like several times of saying like, no, please, like, it was driving me, it was irritating me.
Yeah, George like does not listen. That's pretty
and he's not a saint in the whole thing. Like, it's, I think I love their love. Like, I love when they go on the picnic and he says, it's so nice to not be alone. That's like one of my, I think that was my favorite acting moment of that year. Because it just took my breath away. I was like, oh my god, they are in love. And it helps that they're married in real life.
Right, in real life, yeah.
It's like, okay, we get it. Love it. Theater kids, go.
Yep.
But he totally throws her under the bus. I realized at this watch where he can't figure out something to say to the governor and his wife. So he just says, Rose can play piano. And I'm like, you piece. And that's when I was like, you dick. Like, she clearly is overwhelmed at the status that she's just gotten, which it's like actually pretty, it seems understated because they're out in the middle of nowhere, but she just moved up to like an insane class level above what she was.
I was just gonna say, like she's a socialite now who's like hobnobbing with the fucking governor, and last week she was like sweeping floors, you know?
Exactly. She wants to go and hang out with the servants because she doesn't feel like, because
she used to be a servant. Yeah. George did not prepare her for her status at all, and like the class upgrade. That's a really good point.
it's weirdly traumatizing, I suppose. Like,
For sure. I could
in
see
a
how she would be stressed out by that.
I mean, it's a dream come true in a weird. It's kind of a Meghan Markle.
Mm-hmm.
Not really.
Oh.
Like, not the whole thing, but if you
Mm-hmm.
or you
Yeah.
could say, I guess, well, Princess Di was already pretty rich, but
Yeah.
and Meghan was pretty rich too, I guess, depending on what you think about. Suits rich is very different than royal rich, I imagine. So,
Yeah. She
listen,
was suits rich. She
she was
wasn't,
suits rich. She
like
wasn't.
HRH rich.
It's kind of that shell shock, I would imagine, of like, what do you mean the governor's coming over?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck is this?
You could see Kirsten Dunst is so good in this role. You can see just how she's like drowning the whole time, just like flailing, and no one is helping her except for Peter.
Yeah.
Everyone
one
else is
sees
just
her.
blowing her off. Yeah.
George is barely there. He
Yeah.
goes off and has to do the business side of stuff, which, understandable, but he just leaves her. And I'm like, take her with you, you idiot. It's like, he doesn't even notice, or if he does, he doesn't do anything about it, that Phil is like being a dick and being I don't know, like emotional abuser. Like,
for sure.
Yeah, like, especially when she goes into her addiction, which is terribly sad. That's like the part of this movie that the rewatch, I'm just like, God, makes me so depressed to watch her.
It's very depressing
when he
to
hides
watch her
the bottle under her pillow and shit. I'm like, that just sucks.
To watch her deteriorate throughout this movie is just, it's so sad. She plays it so well.
I hate that George did nothing too. Like, obviously it was so obvious that she was just suffering, and he was just like, what's going on?
Yeah, it was obvious.
He failed her quite a few levels, for sure.
Yeah, Peter was the one who saved her, literally.
Yeah.
He said, I needed to save her, and he literally did.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. George is a weak character. Very weak character.
Yeah.
I agree.
Very weak.
The men in this, besides Peter, which you could argue with the gender fluidity and the queerness, there could be an element of their, like, the differentiation, or I guess I should say, the extra femininity. The men are so weak in this.
Yes.
And the women or femmes are, like, the strong ones, and the
actual strong ones, yeah.
The ones dealing with real shit.
For sure. And I feel like the isn't the timeline of the marriage, like, this is all super, super fast for Rose and George.
Yeah.
They go from, like, hi, hello to, like, married and moved in, and what, like, after that one cattle drive, right?
It's probably more like a couple months.
Okay.
But that's super fast still.
Still, yeah. It's enough for Phil to write, like, one letter back to their parents, like, snitching on his brother.
He snitched.
It's like, shut the fuck up.
And he goes, did you tell mom and dad? He goes,
did you tell mom and dad?
I'll let them know. Do you think they're going to like it? Well, no.
No.
I was like, do you think they're going to like that? I don't think they're going to like that. And I'm like, oh my God, you're such a bitch. Like,
I told mom, shut up.
Oh my God.
Can't stand this motherfucker.
He sucks.
He's so irritating. So any scenes that you'd like to point out that stand out to you that we haven't talked about? I mean, we've talked about a lot of scenes so far, but anything else that you want to throw out as, like, a favorite?
I love the banjo. The banjo just being bitchy. War games of banjo. WrestleMania. I called it the piano banjo of WrestleMania.
Yo, when I saw that in the notes, I died. I was like, it's so perfect to describe. Yeah, they're it's like the dueling instruments, and he's just following this poor girl around, like, playing banjo at her.
100%. Oh, what y'all think of the native folks showing up, giving Rose the gloves?
I loved that scene. I think that's my favorite Kirsten Dunst scene. For some reason, I don't remember it from the first time. It kind of just washed over me. But the second time, I was so touched by it. And so you could tell it's the first time in, like, months that somebody has, like, listened to her and, like, been nice to her and gave her a gift that really meant something to her. And I did feel bad for the two native guys who were like, all right, this like crying white lady, like they're like, relax, girl, like take the
Hilarious.
fucking gloves, please. Like they're
For
like,
real.
all right, sis, you are fucking sobbing, dude.
I
And then
was
she
so
fucking
scared.
passes out. She passes out with the gloves on. I was like, girl, you couldn't even make it back to the house.
That's what they were thinking 100%. Like,
oh my God, they must have been mortified. They were like, you're welcome. Like, oh my God, get on the horse, please.
I love the music when she figures out. I think it's when she figures out that Phil never gives him the hides, and I think he'd been fucking with Peter or something, and she was like, "Fuck you, I'm going to give him the hides," and it starts like this creaky piano music, and I was like, "Yeah, you go, bitch! Like you go get those
exactly."
And then she goes, "Just take them all." I was like, "That's so." It made me smile. It was a really. It was refreshing to see her like just take a big action step.
I was gonna say, yeah, she took her power back in that moment. She's like, you know what? You don't fucking run me. You don't run this house. I can do whatever.
Of the house.
I'm the lady of the house. I can do whatever I want with these hides. You can't tell me shit. Also, if you weren't running around out in the woods with my son, then you could have stopped this.
Period.
Yeah. I love that scene.
And then when Phil has his meltdown, hilarious.
So funny.
Pie-eyed, she was smashed. So funny. Pie-eyed is the funniest.
She was smashed.
She was smashed. Oh my God. And Jesse Plemons is just like, what? I'm done.
I'm done with it. Yeah. He's like, whatever.
Bullshit. And then Peter swoops in to save the day, and he's like, I wanted to be like you, Phil. And then Phil's like, I want to fuck you so bad, you little twink. I just wanted, this is why I wanted to do this so bad. I was like, he like puts his hand
I
on
want
his
to
shoulder.
be just like you. He's like, oh my God, you do.
You listen to me. I want to fuck you so bad.
I fear that might work on me.
You know what? He knew. Peter knew that would work on him.
That's big fire sign energy. I'm like, oh my God.
I wish I knew their zodiacs so bad.
Right?
No, George is a Libra.
That makes 100%. Big Libra energy.
Big.
I would say Rose is a Pisces.
Oh, makes sense.
Yeah.
In their
feelings. In her feelings.
Drinker is so funny.
Pisces be drinking.
Pisces be drinking.
They be drinking. Yeah, Phil definitely gives fire sign to me.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe
Cody too, or Peter.
Yeah,
I see that little twink is like a Scorpio.
Oh yeah. I think Peter's definitely a Scorpio.
Sociopathic. I'm kidding. All my best friends are Scorpios.
I'm a Scorpio rising. I won't deny the allegations.
Y'all are totally chill guys. Do.
Are we?
No.
I
no,
mean...
it was... I meant the opposite.
Don't start none.
No.
There won't fucking be none.
Amen.
But yeah, Lindsay and I are both fire signs. I would say, I don't know. I think Phil is the hardest to figure out. I'm pretty sure I'm getting like Sag or Aries. Like
I was getting Aries. I could see Sag. I could see Sag. He likes his stuff.
He likes his stuff. He's well traveled. Okay, wait, yeah.
He knows his classics.
He studies classic. Yeah. Big Sag energy.
Big Sag.
Oh, but yeah,
big Sag instead of big dick. Big Sag. Screaming.
Yeah, I mean, we are susceptible to flattery. He was like, I think you're my hero. I was like, oh my God.
Do you?
Thank you.
You want to go and make elk liver on coals? Asking someone out on a camping
trip?
Phil asking about, listen, here, I'm going to teach you all I know. I'm like, okay.
Clock
when he gives him the cigarette. Oh, that's a moment when he gives him the cigarette to smoke. Hot as fuck.
That was
when he like lights it for him and like holds it to his mouth. Yeah, very hot.
I did have the medical thought when he smoked the cigarette. Super hot. he had Phil smoke the cigarette, and then he
Yeah.
smoked it again. And I was like, homie, that guy's getting anthrax
Didn't
currently.
you just infect him with anthrax?
But maybe it's not passed through the spit. I don't know. This is what happens when you watch this movie over 3 times. You start to think about these things.
Oh, record scratch. We went really long on this episode, guys. We're so sorry, but not really. So we decided to split this into 2 episodes. You're going to hear part 2 of Power of the Dog next week. So hang tight until we edit the rest of this episode because the original cut was 3 hours. In the meantime, follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at postfilmclaritypod. You can email us at postfilmclaritypod@gmail.com. And also, as always, please follow us on Letterboxd at postfilmclarity. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you in 1 week instead of 2. Bye, honeys.